Been getting a lot of questions about the jet boat build, so I'm gonna do a little walkthrough here. Jetstream Buccaneer was built in collaboration with ourselves, being TSV Machine and Danger Zone Off-Road. It will be getting a wrap. Some of these things are temporary for the moment until it gets a wrap. All this stuff will have to come off in order to do the wrap properly. I guess I'll start at the front here. We've added a integrated winch under the top deck. We put a stinger out the front. Makes it easy, nice and out of the way. We might need to put a different stopper on there to plug this up, so if we dive the nose in, we don't get a ton of water in there. Infinite off-road lights. We have a flatbed laser cutter, so we can cut our own parts out of aluminum, steel, or whatever. So we cut these and use these to mount the lights here. We got the walk-through door. It's equipped with a Seadoo 300 from a 2018 RXT-X. This is the IBR and trim and reverse bucket adapter from Torchcraft Marine. We had to add some spacers here to get the proper throw from our IBR arm. It was bottoming out and getting an overcurrent and wouldn't calibrate. What we'll likely do is remove these spacers and machine a different length IBR arm in order to get that geometry, more ideal. We have our underwater exhaust and above water exhaust. We have a captain's call cutout here. We can switch between the two. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. The sound difference isn't extremely noticeable to the people in the boat, but you can tell a big difference on the outside. Got the stop grate. We added rear facing lights from Infinite Off-Road. We custom machined and built all of these exhaust and blower outlets, the fuel fill. We did get the hull mostly welded from Jetstream. If you're looking at buying one of these, I highly suggest just having them weld the hull mostly. It's not expensive. I think it was around $2,500 to have them weld the hull, which is extremely good price. Yeah, it's hard to do it yourself for that. There's our bilge outlet and our intercooler vent. The angle of the windows isn't ideal, in my opinion. When you're in the sun, you get a lot of internal reflection from the cockpit, and it's hard to see out the windows because they act kind of as a mirror. We did put 5% window tint on it to begin with, and they acted like a black mirror, and it was absolutely horrible. So we had to take that off the front and just make them completely transparent. But even then, when the sun's hitting you just right, it's pretty difficult to see anything out in front of you on a river. We use seats from a Razor. We made custom brackets, and we may upgrade those to suspension seats at some point in the future. We'll probably come up with some sort of airbag or shock mount thing to mount these two. Custom laser cut gauge cluster mount. We opted for the tilt steering column, which is really nice. It allows you to stand up and steer and control the throttle and get above the window so you can see where you're going. Footrest / speaker bar. Some side bags from a RZR as well to just put stuff in. Again, all of this stuff is kind of temporary until we get the wrap. It all has to come off as it's getting wrapped inside and outside both. So we still have to cut some holes, add a grab bar, cup holders, you know, stuff like that. We did have rugged headsets. We had some pretty major issues with these from the get-go. One of them still doesn't work. We're still trying to figure those out. Headsets are nice, but the electronics and cables could use some major work. Rearview mirror from a RZR as well, so when you're riding with your buddies you can see them behind you. We got the floor from Jetstream as well. We did add floor bracing from Torchcraft Marine. That was all welded in ourselves. There's lots of stuff that you have to weld in yourself and customize to your specific needs and build. These things are, you know, DIY through and through. The engine, got 20-gallon aluminum tank. The fuel pump adapter was from Torchcraft. The height of our tank, along with this adapter, allowed the stock fuel pump assembly to drop right in. Fits perfect, touches the bottom. Can use every drop, no problems there. Blower back here, sand trap. We had to mount our intercooler vertically like this to allow this tank to fit in here. Electronic sub panel. That's not ideally perfect. We might do something a little different with that. We used a coolant reservoir from I think a 2020 Jeep Wrangler-ish, somewhere around there. We had it on hand. It was easier to mount than the stock plastic one. It gives you a little extra volume and it just looks nicer. Heat exchanger over here on the driver's side. The hose routing and stuff like that will be done better. This was kind of a quick temporary install. When winter comes around and we can't take it out, we're going to do some cleanup and make this engine bay look a little better. We did have to shorten our water box by about 4 inches to get it to fit in here. These are our custom designed throttle and IBR controls, paddles. These are the prototype. They are 3D printed at the moment, but will be machined components. Your stock sensors will drop right in, and these will be available from TSV Machine here pretty soon in the future. They are significantly better than the clamp-on lever style. You can run your hand all the way around the steering wheel. You have full steering wheel access. They are much better on your fingers. They're easier to control. And steering wheel button controls. These are integral to the throttle and IBR controls. So the way these mount, you will require our button housings as well. These will also be available. It will come as a full kit. Our start, stop, and cruise control buttons. GPS system. Show you the winch under here. It'll probably get some rework. Oil catch can. As everybody does, we opted for the 1/2-inch HDPE bottom. This allows this boat to pretty much go everywhere any other boat cannot. These are the rear seats from Jetstream. Our wrap will be similar colors as these, the various shades of gray, blue, and black. All in all, there weren't too many unexpected hiccups during the build. We did have a problem with the jet pump housing assembly. It was purchased from Jetstream with the pump assembly installed, and we assumed, since all the hardware, all the bolts and everything were torqued to spec, that they had done a proper sealing job on it. Well, they hadn't, and the first time we took it out, we got severe cavitation. The boat would barely move, and it was taking on water. Well, when we got it back and got it apart, we found out that Jetstream did not put one single smidge of sealant on any of those jet drive components. So we had to completely remove the engine, remove all the jet drive, and seal that up properly. It's a bit odd because all the bolts were torqued to specification, and you know, you would expect them to have sealed it properly, but they did not. We did have a few issues with the stomp grate. As it was delivered from Jetstream, the stomp grate would interfere with the pump assembly, and it would hang up really bad. It took about 2 people to stand on it to get it to drop, and it would hang on the bottom of the assembly and would not go back up into position, so we had to do some grinding on it to get it to work properly. And it's still pretty tight. It still takes, you know, all your weight jumping on it to get it to come down. Anyway, that's about it. Super fun boat. It's extremely fast. Drives like a rally car on water.